This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Shaun Day, the CEO of Greatland Gold, is with us today. Now, Shaun, we're going to be chatting in more detail about you and your background on the Market Musings podcast, so we can leave that until then. But if I can ask you firstly this, GGP is one of the great success stories of late in the junior resource space. What do you see in the future for Greatland Gold that attracted you to take the position as CEO?
Hi, Mark, and firstly, look, thanks for having me on the program today. Look, it's been an exciting year for me at Greatland Gold. Look, I think the attraction for me in coming here was this confluence of a world-class discovery in Havieron, and I think unique in the sector, to be developing that next to existing infrastructure, just 45 kilometres away from Telfer, means that we're going to be doing this world-class development of Havieron, but leveraging existing infrastructure. And not just the processing plant, the airstrip, the village and the spares and the storage sheds, but also the people infrastructure. Newcrest has operated in this area for 35 years, in a similar brecciated ore body, processing similar ore. It really is a beautiful, combination to have this fantastic discovery and then combine that with a tier one operator in Newcrest for a uniquely low risk and expedited pathway to production. And that's the attraction to me, to come in, to have this platform established, and the growth in Havieron, because we're really at the start of the discovery cycle at Havieron, to take the company from what's been a really successful exploration team and now build that team to be a miner and to be a really good partner with Newcrest as we develop the asset and then look to leverage that platform for the benefit of all shareholders.
Okay. So you say you're at the start of the exploration at Havieron. Do you think that GGP will become a more stable institutional stock, or can it stay predominantly at the exciting retail exploration level?
Look, I think when you look at the life cycle of resource companies, it's not unusual that they start off as this very exploration focused company, and that's where that high risk capital comes in and supports a company towards discovery. In this case, those shareholders have been, really well rewarded for that discovery. And again, Havieron is an absolute glittering prize. So, it's fantastic to have had that success. And now the opportunity in terms of the share register is to maintain that connectivity, that engagement with the retail sector, and then to augment that with institutional demand. And I think that's the challenge for us, and indeed a fantastic opportunity, is to continue this really good engagement with retail investors, which I think the company's had a long history of being successful in doing. And then my background, most recently with Northern Star Resources, Australia's second largest gold miner, is very much institutionally focused. So I've been certainly engaging with a lot of institutions, and I think what that will bring is additional demand to the share register, which supports price, and also over time adds stability or at least support into that share price whilst the retail upside remains. So ideally, we get the best of both worlds, Mark.
Okay. We're just looking at the valuation there and the discovery of Havieron. And of course, there are other prospects in the portfolio of GGP. Do you think the valuation is weighted to further exploration or more on the near-term cash flow?
I think right now the valuation looks very much tied to the present, 4.2 million ounce resource. And I said before about what's exciting about Havieron and why we think this is a world-class discovery is 4.2 million ounces of copper and gold is a big deposit. But we think it has tremendous potential to grow. We've got a 65,000 metre drilling campaign presently underway that will continue to punch holes into the ore body. Every single one of those holes to date has hit very meaningful mineralisation, 75, 125 metre intercepts. So every bit of data you're seeing is supporting that potential for growth. So I think that's really exciting. And then augmenting that is you're going to see an increased focus on exploration, particularly around that Patterson area, on a jury joint venture, also with Newcrest, but also on our 100% owned tenements. And we'd love to find another Havieron. We've got a number of targets that at least look similar geologically from the perspective of some of the geotechnical data we get and geophysical. But ultimately we want to put effort and energy into drilling those and try to add value through the drill bit. And that can really augment that. And we don't need to find another Havieron to create value. Even a half Havieron would still create tremendous value for shareholders.
Okay. Well, Havieron, of course, is a fantastic discovery. It is one of the biggest success stories of the space recently. Are there any comparisons that you would like to be compared to, or companies that you think GGP may become?
Look, I think for us, I think there's a couple of comparisons. One is to look at Telfer, which is 45 kilometres down the road. That's been probably a top 5 Australian copper gold mine for 35 years. It's been a grand old lady of Australian gold mining, and I think there's obviously some parallels with that. And I think in terms of what I'd like to do corporately with the platform, I look at Northern Star, where I spent a number of 6 years as CFO there. I think that growth was based on being really good miners. And I said before, I think I've inherited a fantastic exploration and team of geologists. But what we're doing is augmenting that with the mining engineering, with other elements of the team that actually make you a complete company and have the operational and people infrastructure to support such a development. And I think that's what Northern Star did very well. They invested in people and created that people infrastructure to take advantage of the assets they owned and the opportunities within their portfolio. So I guess having the wonderful outcome to be part of that growth story at Northern Star was great fun to me, and I'd love to repeat that journey with Greatland Gold. And I think the launch asset that we have at Havieron is an extraordinary asset to build a company from.
Okay. Of course, gold is the sort of the headline, isn't it? That's the real nice big gold is the big commodity that you've got. But I did notice a tweet, and you mentioned it earlier, but I think your tweet was saying the beauty about having lots of different metals within the tenement. Is that right?
So gold and copper, and I think that is a beautiful combination. The the gold is the majority of the ore body. But right now, my feel is you've got 20 to 25% of value in copper. I think personally, there's no better way to play the EV cycle than copper. And also very importantly, this is a green copper and indeed a green gold. And what I mean by that, this is an underground ore body taking advantage of existing infrastructure. The carbon footprint of the development and the operation of an underground ore body in comparison to an open pit is comparatively very low carbon. And I think that's part of the narrative I'd like to build in the market. I think the sustainability and the virtue of that is really powerful. In addition, there's probably no two commodities I'd rather have exposure to than gold and copper. So And diversification is good. As it happens, I think both are going strongly right now. But diversification, I think, is always valuable and creates value over time. So and it's a bit of a competitive advantage for us, at least in the Australian gold space, where very few of the mid-cap gold players actually have copper exposure as well. I think that's a real competitive advantage for Greatland. And I very much see the traction of that copper exposure when I talk to Australian institutional investors.
Okay. So what key challenges then will need to be overcome during the development and underground infrastructure stage before the ore body is ready to move into production?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of work in front of us, and that's why we're investing in building the team and really, as I said, taking the organisation from what is a highly successful, exploration geologist focused team into one that's more balanced. Keep that team in place, perhaps even augment it, but also put in place the mining engineers, a CFO, and all this other infrastructure that makes us a more complete organisation. I think no development of a mine is linear. There's challenges and everything else. But again, to have this tier one partner in Newcrest, effectively making this a brownfield development for the Newcrest team, building on their existing base of people and infrastructure, does make this an extraordinarily low risk pathway to cash flow. And my sense is this original pre-feasibility study is very much focused on what's already been identified, that 4.2 million ounce resource, and about getting that into production in relatively short order. The decline's already underway. But then I think as we continue to reap the benefits of this big growth drilling exercise, then you have an opportunity to step back and see what Havieron can develop into over time when it's full size and the size of this ore body is fully understood. So I think that's the challenges for Greatland Gold to continue to grow with with Havieron, the ore body, and for us to be good partners at Newcrest, to be able to keep up with them, to be able to contribute and make Havieron the success for our shareholders.
Okay. And with the development then of Havieron and the exploration work happening parallel to each other, what do you think is taking up the most amount of time? But equally, what is making you the most excited?
Look, I'm dead excited about getting into production. So, that's very much what I come out of an operational background. So, look, certainly the decline, going down into the ore bodies, just a hugely exciting phase for the company, and to get to that top of ore body and then start setting up the in-mine infrastructure is going to be, tremendous and should just continue to build value for the company as the time frame to free cash flow gets shorter and shorter. I think, though, in terms of catalyst for value, I said before, this initial resource is just that. We're investing heavily in the drill bit, and I think the opportunity to add value, first and foremost at Havieron, and really show the full magnitude of this ore body, but in addition to increase the level of activity of the exploration in the Patterson and in some of our other tenements as well, to find that next prize within the portfolio, I think are those really big value levers that can create a lot of value for shareholders. So I'm probably saying a little bit of both there, but really looking forward to going into production, and certainly developing Havieron as our flagship is the absolute key pillar of our strategy. But an equally important pillar is also growing the company with exploration. So that is a focus for us. And if anything, we're going to be investing more in exploration over the next 12 months than we previously have in the history of Greatland Gold.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Shaun Day, the CEO of Greatland Gold. And I look forward to talking with you in a bit more detail about your background and your history on the Market Musings podcast in a short while.
Thanks, Mark. That was a good conversation. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.